According to Uryuu, marriage is a connection that binds people like threads of fate, similar to the bonds we share, whether it's coworkers, friends, family. He wakes up on the train, having dozed off while studying a book. Looking at the gates of the temple, he believes his new life starts here. While going up the temple, two background characters comment how it's cute the boy came to pray to do well on an exam. However, our Uryuu isn't the religious type, as he doesn't rely on divine intervention. He doesn't even believe in gods. He opens the door, calling out that he's moving in today. When he calls out for someone, there's no answer, so he starts exploring the house. As he walks down the hall, he hears feminine voices behind a door, but decides not to open it as he doesn't want to be called a pervert. He thinks he escaped, but the door opens to only assault his eyes with a pair of luscious melons. Then two more girls arrive, dressed in lingerie. The girls calmly shut the door to only reopen the door fully dressed as shrine maidens. A red-headed girl is furious. She throws salt at him to purify the intruder. The girl orders for them to retrieve more salt. The black-haired girl suggests they should tend to his bleeding nose, while the blue-haired girl smiles, expressing surprise that people still get nosebleeds from shock. Once the chaos subsides, the four gather. Uryuu introduces himself, informing them that he will be living with them. The redhead denies the guy as she calls him a creep. Uryuu says she's overreacting. The girl fires back as the cost of seeing a bearskin holy shrine maiden is high, accusing him of taking pleasure in spying on innocent maidens changing clothes. Uryuu insists it was an accident, but she remains angry. The black-haired girl tries to calm the girl down. Uryuu is tired of this argument and asks to see the priest, but is informed he's not here. The black-haired woman makes small talk as she knows Uryuu is a second-year high school student. The woman introduces herself as Yae Amagami, the eldest sister at 20 years old who attends university at 5 feet 4 inches, acting as the big sister type, assuring him he can count on her. The blue-haired girl goes next, named Asahi Amagami as the youngest at 14, expecting the boy to pamper her like a little sister as she already sees him as family. The red-haired girl doesn't like how her sisters are cozying up to the boy so fast, as she doesn't like men. This being Yuna Amagami, the 17-year-old redhead at a height of 5 feet 3 inches. Yuchan doesn't accept the boy as part of the family and is against the idea of living with a strange man. Uryuu isn't bothered as he thinks that's reasonable. He pulls out his book, prepared to study with his English vocabulary book in hand. Yuna isn't happy he ignored her opinion, but then mocks him, calling him Ubu Kamihade. Her childish teasing works as he's visibly frustrated. Next, the big sister shows Uryuu to his new room, which she personally cleaned, though the closet is a mess. While pulling out the futon, the clutter topples onto Yae. Uryuu runs to save her from being hurt, but Yae ends up falling on top of Uryuu, giving him a thinking cap. Yuna runs out to only see the two in an awkward spot. Yuna then properly punishes Uryuu. Afterwards, Uryuu is left studying, but Asahi eagerly stops him to get to know him better. He rejects her offer. Asahi is disgusted that he doesn't want to be left alone with beautiful girl, asking where his male pride is. Asahi is a secret perv who happily goes through his bag to see if he has any dirty adult magazines. Uryuu gets up to try and stop her, as this is an invasion of privacy. But he trips on his clothes, this time landing on top of Asahi. Yuna runs in to investigate to only find the two. This time, she gives him a harsher beating, calling him a lowly chaser. Later, he's finally able to study. He decides to get up. He passes a slightly open door. He peeks in to see if anyone is still awake inside. He finds Yuna asleep on the floor without a blanket. When she sneezes, he decides to be a gentleman and give her a blanket. But this guy has the worst luck as she sneezes awake. After she takes a moment to focus her eyes, she freaks out. The commotion gets the attention of the other sisters. The other girls ignore the two and close the door. Outside, they whisper how the boy is an insatiable beast who wants all the holy maidens of the shrine. Yuna asks for him to repent, pouring more salt on him. The four gather again, and Uryuu asks Yuna what she was doing up so late. Yae explains that Yuna was making handmade ornaments. Asahi reminds her not to do everything on her own. Yuna ignores her and warns Uryuu not to touch them or they'll lose their sacred power. Uryuu doesn't understand why Yuna would put in so much effort into making handmade charms for visitors when she doesn't even profit from them. Yuna responds that it's simply part of their duty, untying the red string from her hair. The other sisters follow her example, beginning to pray as this is their link to the deities. Uryuu is taken aback from their dedication, respecting them more. He questions why they all pray with a cord. The three reveal that their mother left these cords for them, with this being the last thing to remember her by. Yuna believes the cords symbolize a connection between their prayers and their mothers. Yuna questions why Uryuu was up at this hour. Uryuu explains he's been studying for Kyoto University's medical school entrance exams. Hearing this makes all the girls admire him more, especially Yuna is surprised he's so smart, as she assumed he was just a closet pervert creep. The three say that's good, as the temple will act as good luck for him. With Yuna next shouting about the magical star shower, Uryuu finds the name childish. It's believed in religion that the meteor shower can grant a wish if standing under it. Uryuu calls it a bunch of bull, as meteor showers this time of year are small and burn up before reaching Earth. Even if one did make it through, it would crush anyone upon impact. He makes a joke about her brain size, which angers the girl, calling it blasphemy. The girl comedically holds out voodoo dolls ready to curse the boy. The next day, Uryuu is cynical, questioning why so many people visit temples. He argues that amulets and prayers are ineffective, since a priest's role is to connect people with deities. While he's thinking, a nervous Yuna is trying to present a talisman to a little girl, but struggles. Uryuu can't stand watching the train wreck, intervening as he can speak English. Uryuu downplays her knowledge. As other temples get foreign visitors, he offers to teach her basic English. Suddenly, a powerful burst of wind catches her red cord. She remembers her mother. In the next moment, the sun begins to set, and the girls can't find the hair tie. The sisters try to assure Yuna that the gods will find her cord. Uryuu is annoyed by how calm they are. He makes a show saying he doesn't believe in God and that people are the ones that make miracles happen. Yuna equally intensely retorts that the deities would never abandon those who seek help. After the argument calms down, Yuna tells as a non-believer he doesn't belong here, walking away. Uryuu is fine with the arrangement, as it's best they not hang around each other if they don't get along. Later, Ye comes to talk to Uryuu but is shocked to see he isn't in his room. The older woman then cries in Asahi's chest as the spirits have taken Uryuu-kun away. The older woman wonders what it's going to take to let those two get along. But Asahi is unconcerned as she continues to search for dirty papers. Yae, while blushing, notices a picture frame of a young Uryuu and a woman. The two recognize her as his mother, as their grandpa told them stories about a young Uryuu. They assume he used to pray every day for his fate to change, but his wish never came true. This event turned him into an atheist. Still, Asahi isn't worried, as the two hotheads are more alike than they like to admit. Yuna overhears this and walks away. That night, Uryuu is looking for Yuna's thread, thinking about prayer's role in this. Yuna is out searching for the boy and stumbles upon him praying as he wishes to find her treasure. This puts a smile on Yuna's face, as it shows he does care. She instructs him that the prayer works better if he says it out loud. This makes Uryuu feel self-conscious, but he admits he was wrong to say those things to her. Yuna apologizes too, and the two make up with each other. The other sisters arrive shortly after, relieved to find them both safe. The younger sister teases that it looked like the two were on a late-night date. They head back. He reminds her that they haven't yet found her hair tie, but the girls say this can wait for when the sun is out. Uryuu notices that the sky has completely changed, with flying cherry blossom petals glowing brilliantly. In that moment, he realizes it's the rain of wishing stars, though he still believes the phenomenon is simply the result of cherry blossoms and meteors falling simultaneously. Yuna remarks that Uryuu is really boring, while Asahi adds that he must be a blast on dates with his non-existent love experience. They urge him to take a closer look and decide for himself whether it seems like a miracle, and he admits that maybe it does, as the sight is breathtaking. Above, another holy maiden watches the group, being the spirit of the girl's mother who has the hair tie, who then tosses it back. That night, Chidori Amagami, the high priest, finally arrives at the shrine to inform them that Uryuu will marry into the family, as well as relieving him of his position as the head priest and inherit the shrine. Instead of being mad about having to serve, Uryuu wants to know who'd he be marrying. The priest rubs his beard with a proud smirk, as it's none other than one of his beautiful granddaughters, shocking the four of them. Uryuu didn't recall agreeing to this with the girls in agreement. Uryuu states he came here to study, so he can become a doctor. Chidori assures him it's fine, as being a high priest allows him to do other projects on the side. Uryuu says that this isn't the issue, with Yuna in agreement, as an arranged marriage was never mentioned to them. Uryuu cannot agree to this. The grandfather, like a sly old geezer, mentions that the high school he was going to be enrolled into has a high acceptance rate for Kyoto University, with the man willing to kick him out here and cancel his enrollment. Hearing this, Uryuu bows, overjoyed by grandfather's help. The old geezer laughs as another shady deal was accepted. Uryuu is sure that once he's accepted into college, he can leave these marriage arrangements in his past, as the old-timer is sure to forget this. The three girls hold a strategy meeting as it looks like they have no say in the matter. All three girls are in agreement that they can't just up and marry the boy. As Yuna doesn't like how their grandfather just auctioned them away, Yae doesn't love the boy, having never dated him, and Asahi finding this too sudden. Yuna doesn't think it's a good idea if the head priest doesn't believe in the religion, so she decides their best choice is to drive him away. Yae and Yuna come up with a plan to have the boy do the cooking as a way to help out around the house. Inside the fridge, he sees close to nothing left to cook from. Yuna laughs evilly as her plan is sure to drive him out, but to Yuna's angered shock, he's able to make a passable dinner. Yae praises her junior as he was able to make a delicious meal. Yuna happily thanks him but remembers that she's supposed to dislike him. As she states, she has more task for him to do. She then gives him all the laundry to do. Yuna darkly gives him the task of washing a huge pile of laundry by hand, since there's no dryer in the house. Yae breaks the news to Yuna that this task might not be a good idea as their unmentionables are in the pile, making all the sisters feel self-conscious. Uryuu doesn't even look fazed, but instead yells at the girls as this bra is missing the matching underwear it goes with. The girl marvels at the level of care he cleaned their clothes, with it done perfectly. Yuna still refuses to give him credit, seeing there's no other options. She gives him her final weapons. Uryuu must clean Yae's room. Asahi sweat drops as this seems to be too cruel, while Yae is confused why her room. Inside, he sees the problem: paintbrushes and other art supplies, makeup products, and scattered clothes. His final mission is to win her over the war zone that is this woman's bedroom. Yae can't help but laugh as she understands now how bad her room looks to people. Yuna is sure Uryuu will fail this time, with Asahi hoping he can assist them. Uryuu wanders around the room, spotting a terrible smell, hoping it isn't rotting food, making him ask, how can she live like this? But it turns out to be oil paints. Yuna explains that Yae attends an art school. Sometime later, Uryuu manages to leave the room spotless. Seeing her clean tatami mats for the first time in ages, she is so pleased. Yae suggests they let him stay. Yuna still doesn't like the idea of marrying the guy, but Asahi tries to plant the idea of making the guy do all their chores around the house. Overhearing the girl's plans, he bows. In an unexpected move, he acknowledges that although it was a short time, he's saying goodbye to the girls because he can't handle the grueling routine of doing these chores every day while still trying to study. His dream is to be a doctor, but in order to do this, he must accept it with the entrance exam. So he decides it's best he sets off to make his dream come true. Ashi breaks the fourth wall, deeming the show ends here. Yae doesn't think this is right, while Yuna reminds them this was their plan, walking away. The scene cuts to on the train with Uryuu studying. Asahi mocks Yuna as she's the one who came to follow the boy, with both sisters teasing her as she felt guilt for overworking him. The girls wonder if his dream of becoming a doctor has anything to do with his mother. The trio continue to follow him off the train through a more secluded area with a dirt road and crows gathering on the roof of the house, making the sisters feel like they've stumbled onto the set of a horror movie. Yuna feels guilty for forcing Uryuu to live in this hovel of a dump. His sudden arrival scares the sisters as Yuna throws salt at him continuously. She notices strange things stuck to him. Her sisters quickly calm her down, explaining that it's just some kids. A boy points to their chest, with them repeatedly comparing their sizes. Suddenly, another woman introduces herself, with her dressed like a doctor named Mahiru Anakoji. She jokes that Uryuu must have become a ladies' man in her absence as he's surrounded by all these women. Inside, the woman welcomes them to Kiseki-en, a foster home for children. Mahiru happily thanks the girls for accepting Uryuu, calling them all beautiful enough to marry her Uryuu, as she sees him as her child. The girls awkwardly smile, knowing that things have been quite different. Mahiru even jokes that she had wondered if the girls would be interested, as all he does is study all the time, joking how boring his hobby seems. Uryuu wants to end this embarrassing conversation. Slightly mad, she wants to marry one of these girls, never agreeing to this. But before he can finish, Mahiru grips his mouth with her hand, saying how hard she worked to find him a good home, as he has to leave the house eventually. Two kids then show Uryuu some paper cranes they folded, and a girl named Shirahi walks in. Shirahi came by to play with the kids. Uryuu then introduced the girls to his childhood friend who used to live at the home. Asahi quietly remarks that Shirahi acts like a tomboy. Yuna scolds her sister for being rude, but Shirahi laughs the comment, calling the girls funny. A child shows the sisters another paper bird, saying they plan to give it to their mom. The girls are confused, so Mahiru explains that the home is for children whose parents are too ill or too injured to take care of them. Shirahi mentions that the children are folding 1,000 cranes, hoping the good luck charms will help their families. The Amagami sisters find the gesture heartwarming, but Uryuu thinks folding good luck charms that don't actually work are a waste of time this time. Yuna slams her hand on the table and refuses to let his comments slide, as the 1,000 paper cranes are special. She tells the kids to ignore the idiot, as they don't need his help, declaring to the children that they will complete this task, making all the children cheer for their new big sister. The three sisters finish with varied results. Asahi's looks clumsy, while the free spirit Yae has hers look like a masterpiece, while Yuna is slow. The children drag Uryuu as he's not pulling his weight, with him now feeling pressure as they urge him to help. And in minutes, Uryuu completes the 1,000 paper cranes perfectly, making the children cheer and sisters impressed. While the other children celebrate, Uryuu overhears one boy question if this paper bird will really work. He can't help but remember his own feelings and his deceased mother, with a young Uryuu completing the 1,000 paper cranes to show his mother. Yuna sees the look on his face, worried about what he will do. But unlike his words with the sisters, Uryuu encourages the boy to believe. He assures the child that the charm will work because when the doctor sees it, they'll work extra hard to care for everyone's family. Mahiru chimes in, saying Uryuu had folded thousands of cranes for his mother, so he understands how the children feel. Yuna realizes this is why Uryuu wants to become a doctor, and Shirahi adds that he's always been kind even if he can be rough around the edges. With that said, Mahiru asks the Amagami sisters to take good care of Uryuu. So the day goes on with the sisters spending the afternoon at the foster home, alone. Mahiru is interested to know why he's returned, leaving his shrine maiden harem. Uryuu tells her not to use such vulgar language. He explains he left the shrine because the girls gave him too many chores, leaving him no time to study. However, even Mahiru doesn't believe that's the only reason, knowing that Uryuu has never been the type to give up, believing that the girls care about him more than he thinks. The boy recalls a childhood memory of helping a tired Mahiru multitasking laundry while tending to children. A young Uryuu wanted to lighten her burden, but she affirms that she's fine as she's greedy and wants all the work for herself. Uryuu grins back at the woman as he understands he must persevere. The other sisters watch the exchange, beginning to tease him, saying that he's in love with the older woman. He tells them that he's not in love with the lady but just respects her. Uryuu then apologizes for storming off on them as he's now willing to endure doing all the chores. Yuna pokes him with a paper crane as this won't be acceptable as this would only make them lazy, as they all reaffirm that they're family, making him happy, until he makes it back home to see that the laundry is on the floor due to Asahi being clumsy. Ye's room is back to being a mess because she filled it with manga, and the kitchen was a mess because Yuna wanted to pay him back. Uryuu is glum as these girls have proved to be useless when it comes to chores. Chidori then arrives, pleased to see Uryuu stepping into the head role of the household, announcing that he'll soon attend an arranged marriage meeting with each of her granddaughters. He explains that arranged marriage is an ancient and important tradition in Japan and should be taken seriously. Uryuu feels uncomfortable with the idea and assumes the girls feel the same despite his unease when the first meeting begins. Uryuu is introduced to Asahi, who seems much more refined. The third daughter thanks him for coming. It's explained that he must spend the whole day with her. The grandfather then exits to leave them alone. Uryuu asks if she is bothered by the situation. Asahi replies that since she has to be there, she may as well make the best of it and have fun. But then grins asking unless of course Uryuu wants a real date, in which case might take it seriously. He blushes looking away, thinking this is all a joke. Asahi wants this to be more interesting and starts undressing, forcing Uryuu to cover his eyes. Asahi reveals that there is something she has always wanted to do with him. Just when he forms enough courage to look at her, she reveals that she wants to race with him. The two take off running through the city, with her happy to feel the wind. Uryuu wonders what kind of marriage meeting this is since it feels more like a workout. Uryuu asks if Asahi is a fan of running, but she replies that it's as important as breathing. Uryuu jokes that Asahi talks more like a gold medalist. Asahi modestly replies that anyone would be happy to spend an afternoon with her, given her beauty and athletic skill, giving herself a ridiculous nickname. Uryuu disagrees as she's the most carefree of the sisters, who'd slack off. Asahi threatens to leave him behind for his comments, but Uryuu isn't concerned as there's no way a middle school student has more endurance than him. 3 hours later, the boy is out of breath, looking like a zombie. With another 2 more hours going by and he's on the ground completely exhausted. Uryuu, barely standing, stumbles to the bathroom for a shower only to find Asahi already in the bathtub. He quickly shuts the door, yelling at the girl to shut the door when taking a bath. The girl casually explained that she leaves the door open, being a bad habit of hers. Uryuu passes out and wakes up the next morning at 5 a.m. He's mad that he was again denied time to study. Rolling over, he finds Asahi, asking if he slept well. She suggests they continue the marriage meeting as she thought they could go for another run, suggesting he find her running shoes in the storage shed before another run. Uryuu complains, understanding she just wants to give him more work to do. She reminds him that grandfather needs to be convinced they had a pleasurable date. The two go inside the shed. Uryuu is already distracted, especially since the shed is a mess. Asahi excitedly points out that they are all alone in a small, dark space, which is something straight out of a romantic manga. Suddenly, a strong wind blows, slamming the doors shut and locking them from the outside, as this is an old door. Uryuu tries to find a way out, while Asahi mentions that the old shed door often locks when shut hard. As Uryuu ponders an escape plan, he jokes that this kind of thing only happens in manga. Asahi teases him for being scared despite being trapped with a beautiful girl, but she soon begins trembling. Recalling how Asahi left the bathroom door open earlier, Uryuu asks if she is afraid of closed spaces. She denies it, insisting she's fine, but Uryuu knows she's just pretending. He places a reassuring hand on her head and tells her that everything will be okay if she's scared. She can hold onto his back. As Uryuu tries to pry open a window, Asahi clings to him for comfort. Uryuu works until dawn, where he manages to break the window and tells Asahi to wait while he jumps out to unlock the door. Touched by his efforts, Asahi notices the scratches on his hands but realizes there's one small problem. The window he opened is on the second floor. Making him afraid of the height, still determined, Uryuu decides to slowly make his way to the edge until he can safely fall off, finally able to open the door for her. When he opens the door, Asahi teases him, saying he took too long as he was afraid to jump. The two walk outside, where Asahi decides to apologize for the mess she put him in. Uryuu agrees, as she made him run for their marriage meeting, then got him locked in a storage room while he was trying to sleep, but will overlook it because she's just a cute kid trying to act like a grown-up. This head pat makes her blush. The two sisters come running to Asahi, completely ignoring Uryuu. The girls are worried about their little sister, but Asahi playfully insists that thanks to Uryuu, she's fine, as he gave her a night she'd never forget. This teasing causes her sisters to misunderstand, and poor Uryuu gets beaten up for something he didn't do. The next day, Uryuu braces himself for his meeting, dressed again in formal, traditional attire. Inside, the second daughter, to his surprise, behaves completely differently than usual, asking him to seriously consider her as a worthy candidate for marriage. Walking with the middle sister in the courtyard, he can't shake the feeling that something is off, as this girl is so meek right now. Strangely, to break the silence, Yuna asks about his interests, and Uryuu replies that he enjoys studying. Yuna, in an unusually excited tone, praises him for being such a studious young man. Uryuu, however, is more confused than ever, unsure why she's acting this way. A black cat crosses their path, and Yuna waves it away, making Uryuu wonder if she dislikes cats. The two go back to the meeting room, where Uryuu confronts the girl, wanting to know what's wrong with her. Yuna suddenly drops the act. She pushes him down with a swirling face as she's about to make him a father to her clan. With her shock, Uryuu tells her to control herself and not blurt out such things, wanting her to calm down and tell him what's going on. Yuna says she's just trying to secure the shrine's future, but feeling embarrassed, straightens herself and leaves. Outside, her sisters whisper about how strange the situation has become, and Uryuu kindly asks them to stop spying on other people. Outside, in their shrine uniforms, the girls explain the situation around Yuna, as the girl is clearly panicking, as she just wants the shrine to thrive. Uryuu is sure Yuna doesn't even like him, so poses the question that he might just end up marrying one of the other sisters to avoid dealing with the girl, making them blush. Asahi explains that Yuna is only sacrificing herself to save them from a life of misery. Uryuu doesn't appreciate the girl's negative outlook over him. Later, Yuna waits in the meeting room, wondering where the fool that ditched her is at. When he comes back, Uryuu has changed clothes. Outside, Uryuu takes her to a flossy cafe where they can interact with the animals. Yuna's face is gloomy as her attitude stays the same, reminding herself not to be swayed so easily, but quickly warms up to the cute cats and starts to talk like a grade schooler. Yuna, upon realizing her slip-up, tries to urge Uryuu that they must leave. Uryuu isn't buying it as he tells her that her sisters are worried about her stressing out over the shrine. Yuna firmly believes it's her duty to support the sanctuary, just like Uryuu's goal of becoming a doctor for the orphanage children. He understands her sense of responsibility, but advises her to relax sometimes as her sisters are important too, and she keeps making them worried with her antics. Uryuu decides to set an example by letting himself forget about studying to play with the cats for the day, encouraging Yuna to do the same. By late afternoon, as they leave the cafe, Yuna admitted that she enjoyed herself, deciding to take her sisters to the cafe some other time, of course without Uryuu. Uryuu brushes off the comment, admitting the place could become addictive. Yuna gives Uryuu a small token of thanks, throwing him a cat keychain. Uryuu sees her relaxed mood and panics, asking if she's stressed out again. His paranoia annoys her as she was trying to have a sweet moment. Yuna throws salt at him as he must redeem himself. The next day, it's time for Uryuu to meet the eldest daughter, Yae, but is annoyed when the girl is hilariously late for the meeting. Out of frustration, Uryuu barges into her room to find her still getting dressed, leading to an embarrassing moment. Uryuu reminds her of the time and decides to leave, waiting outside her room. He tries to study, but an hour later, Yae is still not ready. Annoyed, Uryuu bangs on her door again, walking inside with a blindfold to avoid his previous mistake. When he takes his blindfold off, he realizes he's alone with Yae nowhere inside. He informs the girls and they search for her, later seeing that the girl left her phone. Yuna starts thinking spirits may have taken her away, with Uryuu thinking she believes too much of the Japanese folklore. After some time, he spots her sketching by the Inari Shrine. When he catches up with her, he wants to know why she disappeared, as she's not so foolish as to forget. Yae teases him, asking if he's fallen for her already. Uryuu tells her not to kid around. Yae wants to know how he found her. Uryuu knew she'd be here as she left a clue to her most recent painting. Uryuu explains that the painting of the torii gates in her room and figured she might be at the Inari Shrine for inspiration. Yae says if he wants to know why she left, it's a lady's secret, but since he found her, she agrees to go on their date. The two wander around the shrine, taking pictures and into town. That night, as an apology for today, she gives him a warding talisman. She thanks him for finding her, and the two walk home. Uryuu begins to think she's more than an airhead until she casually asks who he wants to marry, like a child. She lays out her two sisters as great options who would love him. Uryuu dismisses the conversation, only to make her ask in a more feminine tone if he perhaps wants to fall in love with her, making his emotions flutter, denying her. Yae says it's rude to say that on their date, but Uryuu believes that he could never marry any of them. Uryuu, while giving his embarrassing answer, stumbles down the shrine stairs. Yae is terrified and rushes to catch him, grabbing his charm, but the amulet breaks in the process. His life flashes before his eyes as he's reminded of his mother, believing he's about to see her in the afterlife. In his near-death experience, he sees a future that hasn't yet happened, with him having different adventures with the girls, studying in high school, being accepted to his choice university, fulfilling his dream and becoming a licensed doctor. But lastly, he married the sisters. This future makes him wake up, realizing it was a dream as his charm is intact. Uryuu heads straight to Yae's room to get some answers. Yae is casually reading manga while he's asking about the marriage meeting, confirming that they went on a date, but Uryuu never fell down like he said. Yae cheerfully confirms, adding that she had a lot of fun. Yuna then scolds Uryuu, calling him a pervert for brazenly going to Yae's room in the middle of the day. Yae looks confused by her sister's mind. In a sarcastic tone, Yuna suggests that if he has so much free time, he should head to the shop and buy some good snacks. Uryuu asks if they are expecting a guest, and Yuna confirms, adding that it is someone very important to the shrine. At the sweets shop, while purchasing the snacks, Uryuu overhears two old grannies chatting about the upcoming Amagami Shrine festival, but negatively mentions they haven't visited the place in ages. At the shrine, the guest arrives. The girls look uncomfortable as the man declares he will put the shrine up for sale. The man notices Uryuu, hearing they have a new resident. The grandfather then arrives to introduce Uryuu to Tashirakawa-sama, the head of the Kitashirakawa clan. The man has been one of the main supporters of the shrine. He explains that the shrine has been having fewer visitors over the years and hasn't brought in enough money to warrant keeping it around. So, he is done giving them money. The man starts to overstep his welcome as he subtly grins, saying how he's no monster leaving them the home to live in, but then mentions how it must be tough losing their mother, remembering a time when the shrine was packed when she'd perform her rituals. getting thousands of visitors during a festival. He mocks that the shrine hasn't reached a third of the revenue during her era, calling her a stupid woman who overworked herself caring for useless children like them. Yuna is ready to lash out understandably, but Yae holds her hand, asking her to remain calm. Personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect. Uryuu stops his laughter as he declares they will attract 5,000 visitors to the upcoming festival. His declaration leaves the man stunned. The man finds his remark childish, but Asahi backs him up as she declares they can't handle this. The man glares at him, stopping her from speaking. Yae pleads in a calm tone that they're given more time, bowing. The others follow her and do the same. The man looks around smugly, liking them bowing in front of him, so decides to wait until the end of the festival, but adds in a condition. If they fail to bring in 5,000 visitors, he will sell the shrine and take their home, with him not paying a dime for the festival. He wants to hear if they still have the courage, so the girls look to Uryuu and agree to the conditions. I guess clans are really important in Japan, as he warns them about the price of crossing the Kitashirakawa clan. Personally, I'm crashing out on the old man. With the old man laughing maniacally in the hallway, Uryuu can't help but worry about who he just offended. Yuna yells at him, agreeing that the man is dangerous. But by his confidence, they assume he already had a plan, making the girls ask what numbers their mother had. Turning to see that Uryuu is already gone, Uryuu is in his room looking at the attendance record for the shrine to get a better idea about the mess they're in. Seeing how hard he's working and given his track record, they believe he can come up with a plan, leaving him alone for one night. The next day, a sleep-deprived Uryuu shows them a book of the Amagami records. In the books, the shrine used to have a number of stalls, but the number drastically decreased over time. Yuna explains that vendors from the nearby shopping district used to set up stalls all the time, but after their mother passed, they lost contact with them. Their grandfather, while raising them, couldn't organize the festival properly, leading to fewer and fewer stalls over the years, and losing contact with the shopping stall owners. Yae observes that this is why fewer people visit the shrine now. The sisters decide it is their responsibility as adults to revive the festival. Uryuu energetically suggests using social media to draw attention. Yuna says their hip, groovy youth have already mastered the ways of the internet, not seeing this as an issue. When they go to check the website to see where they stand, it's terrible. Almost agreeing with the old man calling them useless kids, it's unacceptable. He points to them, saying it's up to them to be the shrine's models to attract visitors. Asahi can't help but tease him as he gives them this task, finding them cute, with them shyly embarrassed by the praise. Yuna and Asahi thank him. However, Yuna quickly objects, saying that as shrine maid, they cannot do anything inappropriate. Asahi doesn't seem bothered by this, as she's ready to be in charge of this advertising campaign. She posts a teasing photo on Instagram, only to be disappointed when she gets one like. Seeing the reaction toward her beauty, Uryuu decides to give a more appropriate picture of an uninterested Yuna showing off the shrine. This gets 2 likes and 6 new followers. Not being enough, they go for a more catchy, sultry photo of an unsuspecting Yae, but lose all the followers they just gained. Not understanding why, Uryuu just deletes the photo. Asahi's young mind can't understand such a small response to the 3 beautiful sisters. Uryuu suggests they show people what they could be doing at the festival if they come to visit, but Asahi's tainted mind instantly goes to more naughty photo shoots. Yuna comes in, telling her to stop, calling her a failure of a shrine maiden for disrespecting the gods with her vulgar thinking. Uryuu thinks that was a bit too harsh, but Asahi yells back at her, saying she's trying, mad that Yuna keeps treating her like a child, firing back that there are other things important other than the gods. As Uryuu is trying to get them to stop fighting, the sickly sweet tone rings out with Yae darkly looking at them, asking them to calm down, or else making the sisters remember not to make their oldest sister angry. At dinner, the mood is awkward as no one talks. Afterwards, Yuna decides to give the primitive world a shot, trying to find good angles to take pictures in her shrine maiden outfit. Uryuu catches her in the act. He wants to know if she's made up with Asahi yet, but she admits she hasn't. Uryuu asks that she follow him to the computer room, where they see Asahi working hard trying to edit a better photo for their Instagram page. Uryuu asks if she still thinks she's a failure. Yuna comes clean, admitting that she never thought her sister was a failure. Yuna then sends her a photo of an awkward selfie, asking for the girl's opinions. Asahi doesn't waste time roasting her sister, but the two bond as Yuna apologizes. Overhearing that the two have made up, Yae runs over to hug them. In the moment, Uryuu takes a picture of the 3 smiling, capturing the family moment. But to their shock, The picture gets 35,000 likes, which surprises everyone. With only 5 days left until the festival, they post a video showcasing all of them, which receives a lot of attention. As if Uryuu is the manager, he comes up with a plan to give out special time charms that people can buy at the festival. He leaves the unique design to the artist of the family, Yae, who happily agrees. But 2 days later, Uryuu is standing outside Yae's room banging on the door for the charms. A sleepy Yae didn't realize so much time had passed, assuring him she'll meet the deadline and rolling over, saying she has an extra day. Uryuu can't help but think she's one of those manga artists who only works right before the deadline. Like an editor, Uryuu can't sleep, wondering if he has to lock her in a room to get the charm done. He opens the door to Yae's room but finds it empty, making him yell to the sky. Meanwhile, at the pond, the airhead sister is outside feeding the koi fish. She watches 2 of them kiss and finds it cute, symbolizing love. Inspired by their love, she creates her own charm design. The next day, Uryuu, thinking Yae hasn't finished her work, shows his design to Yuna and Asahi. Both of them say it's very lame. Uryuu, having not slept, is even more stressed out. A sleepy Yae walks in, greeting everyone and showing them her design, which is beautifully painted. She explains that koi fish have a double meaning. One signifies money, and the other signifies love. Both elements that people long for, making them great choices for the charm. Uryuu calls her a genius, as she designed it for the young people who follow them. She appreciates the praise but lightly scolds him, saying that she's the best when it comes to ignoring others, as she's often off in her own world. Remembering their date, Uryuu admits he can never fully understand her true feelings, yet he can't keep his eyes off her. Her eyes sparkle upon hearing his comment. Yae sincerely thanks him this time, thinking maybe she could fall for him. Uryuu holds another meeting with the girls, who think they are now prepared for the festival, but Uryuu reminds them of one final, extremely important step they should have done a long time ago. They go to the town's shopping district committee, and the girls are nervous, not mentally prepared to face these people. Uryuu boldly enters their office and bows his head, explaining the situation of the shrine. The old committee members look at them with hardened faces, but ultimately agree to their request for help. Yuna is confused, as they did come to them at the last minute for help. The old chairmen weren't bothered, as they were having the meeting without knowing what to do for the festival. They admit that they had avoided the shrine since it brings back bad memories of the last priestess's bubbly personality, but didn't know the place was in such a harsh position. The members all have positive memories of the shrine, which has been with them for generations. They all remember the amazing person their mother was, as she always helped people. With this meeting, it's almost guaranteed the festival will be a success. The Amagami sisters now understand the importance of community bonds and thank Uryuu for all his hard work in building these bonds. Episode 5 begins with the morning of the festival, showcasing the vibrant shrine as men prepare the stalls. The Amagami family is determined, feeling the glow of the traditional landmark. However, despite their efforts, only 35 people show up and the stalls are empty, with the owners yawning. The atmosphere quickly becomes disheartened as Yuna begins to panic, fearing they won't be able to save their home at this rate. Suddenly, Asahi comes running in, having figured out what went wrong. She reveals that a fake account impersonated them and announced on their page that the festival was canceled. The account was flagged and reported, causing them to be kicked off Instagram. When they ask who would do such a thing, they quickly suspect the old capitalist from the rich family. The shock deepens when they discover that the old man knows how to use a smartphone. Like a true villain, he happily eats his dango in the shade, delighting in saving thousands of yen by shutting down the shrine. He seems to revel in the misery of others, enjoying his snack while the festival falters. Uryuu, enraged by the old man's pettiness, takes the situation personally and refuses to back down. Asahi is on board, but Yae thinks it's rude to just accuse the old man. Meanwhile, Yuna, feeling the weight of the situation, begins to lose hope, feeling like a failure. Uryuu, determined not to give up, reminds everyone that it's too early to feel sorry for themselves. He shows them the schedule and explains that their target is to reach the necessary amount of visitors by closing time. The key is to make the most of the afternoon, with the main event starting at 2 p.m. The group, encouraged by their grandfather and supported by the local shopkeepers, devises a plan. Uryuu runs out with their pamphlets, with Yuna thinking he's just going off to do whatever he wants. He heads to the busy streets, attempting to hand out pamphlets, but people ignore him. He begins to feel defeated, but his mother figure steps in, drawing attention quickly with the help of the children, who are able to easily engage with people. The group, already heading to the festival, spots him and helps distribute pamphlets. Gradually, more visitors are drawn to the festival and the crowd grows. The girls perform on stage while shopkeepers parade through the streets. As more people begin to attend, some whisper that they were going to come, but had been told the festival was canceled. Meanwhile, the old man watches from his limo, angrily eating his dumplings, unable to stop the swelling crowd. Just as it seems they might meet their deadline, a heavy rain starts, officially canceling the festival. They only manage to attract 125 visitors. Uryuu stands in the rain, looking defeated, and the scene is heartbreakingly poignant. Yae tries to comfort him, telling him that sometimes the gods give them trials. The girls offer a final prayer, hoping to at least finish the festival together, accepting whatever the gods decide. As the girls pray, undeterred by the rain, Uryuu desperately runs to try and bring more people to the shrine. A truly magical moment unfolds as the rain stops and cherry blossoms suddenly bloom in the midst of it, creating a stunning, enchanting scene that seems destined to last for generations. This marks a turning point in the episode, with hope rekindled by the miraculous event. The rain, once a hindrance, becomes a blessing as the girls take the stage again, performing a stunning dance amidst the blooming cherry blossoms. The scene captivates the crowd, who begin taking pictures and posting them to social media, spreading the word about the festival. As the crowd grows larger and larger, the festival gains momentum, and their success becomes tangible. After their performance, the girls head to the shrine to sell Yae's limited-time collection, which includes charms, booklets, notebooks, and other products featuring her beautiful designs. Yae's talent is undeniable, and her creations are in high demand. While Uryuu is selling the products, his mother figure can't help but scold him, as he often finds himself in situations where Shirahi and Mahiru have to bail him out. Uryuu apologizes for putting them in that position, but the woman reassures him, admitting that she's always wanted to wear a shrine maiden outfit herself. The two talk about the difficult situation Uryuu has placed himself in. Mahiru wonders why Uryuu didn't just leave the girls to their fate, suspecting that his motivation is more than just pity. Mahiru understands that Uryuu feels a deeper connection to the girls, even if he doesn't believe in the gods. The doctor notes that, despite the lack of personal time, Uryuu doesn't seem to regret living with the girls or being caught up in the chaos of their lives. With only 5 minutes left, they still need one more person to complete their task. Just as tension mounts, the villain, the old man, makes his final appearance. He arrives with a smug look on his face, declaring that their time is up. But then, to everyone's surprise, he offers a twist. He will count himself as one of the visitors if he steps inside the temple. He agrees to allow the temple to remain open, giving them another chance. However, the catch is that they must turn today's visitors into regulars for generations to come. The girls eagerly accept his terms, bowing as he enters his car. Inside the speeding car, the man talks to a young girl, reminding her that they now owe him, and that this will serve as a lesson for the girls not to disrespect him again. The family is overjoyed, feeling as though a giant weight has been lifted off their shoulders. In a moment of happiness, Yae sincerely thanks Uryuu for all his hard work, and in a gesture of gratitude, she kisses him on the cheek. The rest of the group is shocked, and Uryuu's nose starts to bleed. Yuna, furious and embarrassed, throws salt at him, accusing him of having dirty thoughts. It's another day, and Uryuu is having a hard time studying. He suddenly remembers the festival when Yae was so overjoyed she kissed him. Uryuu's cheek heats up as he now accepts that he can't focus after what the girl did. The thought of why she did it becomes too distracting. Suddenly, Asahi appears as she believes he's overthinking it. In her best adult impression, she finds it natural for a boy not being able to withstand the older sister's kiss with huge bazongas. Asahi offers to help figure out Yae's true feelings for him, later appearing like a talk show host asking Yae how she feels about Uryuu. Yae simply calls him a nice guy. This makes Uryuu think that she likes him, but Asahi tells him that this means he's been friend-zoned. But Asahi admits that she could be wrong, as Yae is a natural airhead, so it's hard to know what she's thinking. So it's best to get a person exhausted, as it's harder to hide your feelings. Asahi has the three of them go for a marathon run. Yae is exhausted, wanting to stop, and Uryuu looks back, admiring the view. Asahi goes to the exhausted Yae, asking her the same question again, but Yae simply doesn't care, as all she wants to do is go home and take a bath. Asahi believes that this proves she was right, but Uryuu argues that it's hard to think about anything when you're that tired later. Yae and Asahi are taking a bath together. Yae wants to know why she invited her for a run today, as they've never done this before. Asahi directly wants to know if the kiss she gave Uryuu meant anything, as sure Uryuu is a nice guy who helps them a lot, but he's also a person that one of them will be forced into marrying to save the shrine, asking if she's fallen for him. Yae's smile drops listening to the distressed tone of her sister. Yae says that it's a secret. Back in his room, Asahi reports on what Yae said. Uryuu is annoyed but deems there's no point overthinking it, but mentions that a matter like this should have been handled by himself and not a person as young as Asahi. Making Asahi get angry, when he goes to pat her head, she stops him. He apologizes, calling her a little kid in the process. From this, Asahi jumps at him, biting his ear as she decides to punish him if he keeps treating her like a kid. When she releases him, Uryuu can't help but ask why. She tells him it's a girl's secret. She then runs out of the room and sits around the corner to think about her actions. Uryuu, confused, yells, asking what's wrong with you sisters the next morning. Uryuu reflects on everything that's happened while brushing his teeth, wondering what's gotten into the sisters. Just then, Yuna appears. Uryuu can't help but think she's hiding something. Yuna laughs and asks why he looks so tense, saying she's not hiding anything. Uryuu responds that she's the type unable to keep secrets. Their conversation is interrupted by Yae, who asks what's going on. Uryuu explains that her younger sister is acting strange. Yae finds this funny, knowing why. Uryuu can't help but think that Yae is the best person when it comes to hiding secrets. Yae suggests that Yuna should just tell Uryuu, as it won't make a difference. Yuna hesitates before saying she won't tell him. Uryuu sighs. That evening, Uryuu studies in peace, doing the scheduled amount of time. Noticing no one is bothering him, he deems it impossible, making him worried. He steps outside and finds Asahi huddled outside a door. Curious, he asks what she's doing. She tells him to keep it down, and the two view Yuna, who is hard at work crafting a talisman. It's Asahi's birthday. She explains that the sisters do these sort of things for each other's birthday, with Yuna being slow. Yuna isn't very good at keeping secrets. Turning to the next room, they see Yae sewing stuffed animals that are symbols of good fortune in folklore. Uryuu can't help but compliment Yae, as she's got size and quantity down, unlike Yuna, as expected of an art student. In the next scene, the two sisters face off in the battle of the little sister, as Yae compliments Yuna's gift, but with closed eyes, calmly believes that her gift will win. Yuna doesn't back down, as she believes her present is better. The two sisters then burst into a shouting match, saying their present is better. Uryuu admits it's a cute fight. He turns to Asahi, asking does she cares who gets her the better gift. Asahi is as calm as a cucumber, as it doesn't matter to her. Suddenly, the two sisters tumble on the ground, breaking both gifts. Just when Uryuu is about to step in, Asahi tells him to wait and watch. Asahi walks in, seeing the gifts her sisters made her, as they try to explain that it's midnight, so it marks her birthday, so they made her gifts. The two apologize for ruining the gifts. Asahi smiles, telling them that their effort means more to her than the gifts themselves. Yae and Yuna are overjoyed. Turning to Uryuu, she asks if he has anything to say, and Uryuu simply wishes her a happy birthday. Asahi thanks him, and the three of them go to sleep. But Uryuu does think it's right to see their hard work go to waste. The next morning, Yae and Yuna find Asahi, who then asks if they want to see something interesting. To their shock, the gifts they thought were ruined have been sewed back together. Looking over Uryuu, Yae spots a book on how to sew, with him working hard for them again. While sleeping, Uryuu dreams of Yuna kissing him, with the dream maybe coming from an alternate future. Waking up, he gets a text on his phone from Mahiru-san, his mother figure. Late Asahi comes to Uryuu's room asking if he can fix the button on her school uniform, and Yae stops by to ask if he can help her find a manga volume in her room. Yuna tells them he's gone to Mahiru and will be back by evening. They decide to wait, but Yuna gets frustrated and tells them not to rely so much on Uryuu. This makes the sisters silent, as they feel a little guilty. Yuna sits the two down and scolds them for being too inappropriate with the opposite gender, as it could make him get the wrong idea. This sort of behavior is bad, but especially for shrine maidens who serve the gods. The two apologize, but she then scolds Yae directly for the kiss, with the eldest sister saying she just couldn't help herself. Back at the foster home, Mahiru gives Uryuu a new school uniform for the upcoming term, as spring break won't last forever. Uryuu asks why she didn't just send it to the temple. Mahiru admits she just wanted to see him. Uryuu, feeling shy, wonders if that's the only reason Mahiru-san. Then, Mahiru asks Uryuu how life is going with his three shrine maidens. Uryuu describes the challenge, mentioning how the eldest sister is a lazy airhead, the second is hardworking but stubborn and always against him, the youngest is too inexperienced to help much. Mahiru sees that his ego is taking over with him, being full of himself. She yells at him in a scolding tone as he feels smug just because he saved the shrine. He had no business intervening as it was a family matter. Mahiru advises him to help but not interfere too much in their personal matters. But above all, he needs to treat them equally, reminding him to stay focused on his dream of becoming a doctor. On his way home, Uryuu reflects on his goal of helping Mahiru and the orphans to become a doctor while maintaining distance from the three sisters. When he arrives home, Yuna greets him and he thinks at least she seems normal. She laughs, asking why he looks so tense. Yuna waited here to talk to Uryuu alone, but the two stay silent. Yuna asks to let her take care of his shoulder and starts massaging its sacred. So surprising to Uryuu that he doesn't show any reaction. Yuna then looks down to his shoelaces, wishing to tie his shoes. Uryuu can't help but blush from seeing the girl unaware of her appearance. Uryuu can't help but ask what her motive is from this. Yuna explains that she just wants to show her gratitude as he's done a lot. Uryuu is surprised, recalling a similar dream he had where Yuna thanks him for his help. Yuna explains that he's helped during the festival and with household activities, earning her sister's trust. Yuna thanks him but gives him a heads up that the girls won't try relying on him as much in the future, with them all deciding to change. Uryuu wonders if his dream was a glimpse of the future, especially since it involved a kiss, Yuna with her wearing the exact thing and their location being the same. But when she finishes, nothing happens, and as he questions if that's all, a small girl bumps into Yuna and they accidentally kiss. Uryuu quickly covers Yuna's mouth to stop it, and Yuna, embarrassed, moves away apologizing. The two separate, and Yuna sprinkles salt on herself to ward off bad luck and says they should go home. Uryuu asks if she's angry, but Yuna replies that she's not flustered from the interaction, asking him what thoughts he got in his head. Uryuu feels childish, accepts this, and walks ahead. Yuna stays behind, reflecting on the moment, clutching her heart as she needs to try harder to drive away these impure thoughts. Uryuu has a dream where the girls go to a new shrine in Arashiyama, having never seen this shrine before. He sees Yuna with a stupid expression, next seeing Yae with a surprised reaction by a bridge at night. Then some random guy, lastly the four of them walking in a bamboo forest with a sleeping Asahi, and at night he lies with all three of the Amagami sisters. In the morning at breakfast, Yuna suggests they visit Tsukigami for a consultation. This gets the attention of the other people in the room. Asahi explains that the Tsukigami Shrine is located in Arashiyama. This grabs Uryuu's attention as he remembers his dream. The girls explain their master lives at the shrine. Yuna explains that their shrine has now gained more visitors due to the festival, and with school starting soon, they want to ask what is the best way to handle the people without hiring more helpers. The girls wish to visit Arashiyama, with them asking if Uryuu would like to tag along. Hearing it's the shrine in Arashiyama, Uryuu adamantly refuses, as he believes he's having a premonition. Uryuu chooses his own future rather than get involved with the sisters. Suddenly, Chidori enters with an important item for Uryuu to deliver to Tsukigami Shrine. He rushes down the street carrying a mysterious box, realizing that changing the future won't be easy. The assistant informs the head priestess of the shrine maiden's arrival, and like some type of fortune teller, she tells her to prepare an extra cup of tea. Uryuu barges into the meeting with the girls, wanting to deliver the package and leave. Opening the box, the other girls understand his frantic behavior as the box holds an evil spirit. Tsukigami calmly tells them to calm down. The woman introduces herself, already knowing who Uryuu is. Hearing her title, the boy can't help but ask if there was a ranking system for shrine titles. Yuna can't believe he doesn't even know this. Asahi steps in that a senior priestess is third on the most powerful rank. Head priest is the highest, then it's deputy head priest, senior priest, junior priest, then at the lowest rank is them shrine maiden. Yomiko-san is in charge of training shrine maidens. With the explanation over a worried Uryuu wants to move to the topic of the curse box. Tsukigami-san tells him not to be nervous as she will handle it. Looking at the woman, Uryuu has to admit that he feels a strange but powerful aura surrounding the woman. Uryuu begins to watch her closely when she opens her eyes to reveal that Yatsuhashi snacks were inside, having just expired. They all eat the snacks, and Tsukigami Shrine is dedicated to the moon, but she says that part is more like a fairy tale. Uryuu is confused by the legend, but Yuna is happy to explain the dreaming moonbow. The legend says that on the full moon, if you walk over the illuminated rainbow, your dreams will be realized. Yuna then raises her hand to ask the teacher a question. The girls tell why that the shrine has been getting more visitors and they need help to manage the new popularity. Tsukigami-san understands, but then pouts like a child as she doesn't like Yuna call her teacher as it doesn't sound cute. She prefers to be called Yomiko-san. She then dotes on Asahi, then ruffles up Yae as she's jealous of her womanly new figure. She then invites them to stay at a hot spring inn on the property. The girls are excited about this, and Yomiko walks them around. Uryuu tries to go back to studying. He notices a group of shrine maidens lined up giving their thanks. Yuna, being a big believer, is impressed as only her teacher could train so many. The girls hope they can transform their shrine into this someday. Asahi confidently believes they will, making Yomiko-san dote on her more. Looking at their sweet interaction, he can't help but look at them as a family, but has to ask Yomiko-san why she is avoiding their questions. Yomiko-san compliments him for being observant, as is true. In a turn of events, says she didn't plan on helping them. This shocks the girls as this is a trusted mentor of theirs. She turns, saying she believes that the shrine is too much for them to handle, asking if they plan on serving at the shrine forever. In a serious tone, she tells them that being a shrine maiden isn't the only path in life as they only get one, with Asahi and Yuna preparing for exams and Yae needing to decide what she'll do for college. Yuna is the first to remind Yomiko-san of her dedication to the gods, as she can handle the responsibility to her family's shrine. Yomiko tells Yuna that this isn't about responsibility. Asahi tries to calm the tension as she tells her mother figure that they're full-fledged shrine maidens, so it's nothing to worry about. Yomiko quickly replies that if this is the case, then they should be fine without her help, shocking the young girl, not expecting this. She turns to Yae and she has nothing to say. As she walks off, Uryuu cuts in, finding her attitude towards them rather cold, as he hasn't been around the girls wrong but knows they care about the shrine. Yomiko-san's stance is still the same, but adds in that he now seems to realize the position he's in from interfering, as they're going to have to be in this together if the shrine will succeed, walking away saying she'll give them until the end of the hot spring episode for them to make a decision. The group stands outside the shrine, not knowing what to do with the shocking revelation. Yae is the first to speak as she tells them she needs some time to herself, and without waiting on a response, she leaves. Uryuu then speaks up, deciding to also leave to go back home as he's decided to focus on himself and his dream, apologizing to them as he's not going to marry any of them. But looking over to Yuna, the girl is still dazed from the confrontation, having the same stupid face she had in his dream. Meanwhile, Yomiko is talking on the phone with the grandfather, thanking him for the treats he's prepared, and mentioned that she likes the boy he picked for the girls as he's so her type, at least in the looks department, with her wondering which one of the girls will lead the Amagami Shrine to new heights. Back with the group, Yuna is in no condition to be alone as she begins to stumble. Uryuu is worried and wished Yae was here to take care of her. Yuna is in depression mode, so Asahi suggests they should talk to her, but their elder sister has already disappeared. Asahi brings out her geyser shades and switches into marathon mode to go find Yae, but also to clear her mind, leaving her sister with Uryuu for now, but adds that Yae also needs some time alone. Eventually, Yuna snaps out of it and tells Uryuu not to worry. Later, Uryuu offers her some coffee, but she looks at it, unable to drink it, causing Uryuu to call her a picky child. Later, he comes back with red bean soup, but Yuna drops it, which makes her even more upset. Uryuu tries to cheer her up by reminding her how much she wants to be a shrine maiden, but Yuna admits she's only doing it because it's expected of her, not because it's what she wants. Dropping her soup, believing it's a sign to show that even the soup doesn't want her. Uryuu goes to get more soup, and on the way back, he sees a hiding Yomiko-san who's watching Yuna. When Uryuu calls her out, she quickly hides and pretends she's just taking a walk. When Uryuu returns to the bench, Yuna isn't there. He then finds her at the waterfall. The girl wants to perform a waterfall training exercise. Uryuu points out that she'll get her clothes wet, but instead of coming to her senses, a still dazed Yuna removes her pants and tries to go in. Uryuu grabs her to stop her. She begs him to let her go, and they struggle until Uryuu accidentally squeezes her stress ball. Yuna freaks out, regaining her mind and demands he let her go. The two walk back, and Yuna confronts him by interfering in their lives. Uryuu apologizes but insists he was only trying to help. Yuna scolds him, asking if he really believes that Asahi and Yae like him, as well as asking what benefit he gets out of this, as none of them like him. But what makes him mad is him trying to appear like this generous person, but also having no intention of marrying into the family, but still helps out, even neglecting his studies. Uryuu gets tired of her tirade and yells back at her, saying he's doing all this for his own selfish satisfaction. Yuna is surprised by this and starts laughing, realizing how silly Uryuu sounded just now. She then remembers her time with Yomiko and realizes she doesn't need to be sad anymore, all thanks to Uryuu. The eldest sister is out alone at night by the lake, looking up at the moon, calling it so big. After her evening run, Asahi returns to find Yuna in better spirits. Uryuu cuts in to ask her if she forgot to look for Yae, but Asahi downplays it, saying the woman can make it back home on her own. Uryuu is concerned about how the sisters are fine leaving her alone like this, but Asahi flips it back on him, accusing him of being in love with Yae. Uryuu instantly is flustered and defensive, but Yuna playfully adds that Yae's impressive appearance is what he's thinking about, but is serious as she's an adult and doesn't need him being so overprotective. With nothing more to say, he decides that it's time for him to leave so he can study. On the way home, he admits that he really doesn't know much about them. At the lake, Yae lets out a sigh. Uryuu says she must be thinking about something important. Yae is shocked to see him and asks how he knew where she'd be. Uryuu acts like an all-knowing protagonist who used his powers of future sight to know her location. The girl is childishly confused, but Uryuu isn't exactly lying, as he did use his premonition dream to know she'd be here, knowing all along. Yae still wants to know why he came. Uryuu is embarrassed but says that a woman shouldn't be out alone at night. Yae is happily touched, inching her way closer to the boy. She overlooks what he's studying, and it turns out that she's actually smart, calling out one of his problems as wrong. She then begins to do the problem in her head, as she's one of those people who's a human calculator, stepping in, effortlessly solving the problem with mental math. Uryuu is speechless but is impressed, flatly saying she's truly amazing, making her confused. Like a bullet point, he states she's an art student who can make great designs in little to no time, can do mental math problems at a glance. Yae smiles it off as she admits to just studying a variety of subjects in her youth. She casually says this, making him want to know more of her talents. The girl mastered the art of tea ceremonies, flower arrangements, martial arts, with her able to pick whatever future she wants practically. Be a scientist, designer, or could even take over a shrine and marry a boy. Looking at Uryuu, she asks him what she should do. Uryuu is hesitant to say something. Yae changes the subject, asking if he's free, hoping they could spend more time together. But when they get up, a heavy breeze pushes Yae down, causing Uryuu to try and save her. Uryuu cushions her fall, and when they get up, Uryuu sneezes, making them head to the Kodan Inn so they don't catch the dreaded anime flu. Let me know if you need anything else. Here's the continuation of your story. Yuna grumbles that Uryuu said he'd go home and now he's staying in their room. But Yae explains it couldn't be helped as the temperature has gone up. Curious, Yuna probes Yae, asking if there's anything going on between the two of them. Yae turns the question back on her, as she's noticed her mood is more energetic, asking if she got involved with him. Yuna looks away, denying this. Yuna rushes out of the room, making the two other sisters giggle at her antics, as it's obvious. Asahi then teases Yae, asking if she's truly sorry, and she should make it up to Uryuu by joining him in the bath and bare herself to him. Yae tilts her head, not knowing what she means. Yae actually ends up joining him in the bath, and Uryuu can't help but get other thoughts. He panics, trying to hide himself with a potted plant, but it turns out he was overreacting, as the girl is more aware of her presence. She leaves him a bottle of shampoo, calling him a pervert. When he's done, he tries to study in the lobby while noticing Yae trying to pick a snack. The woman still manages to fluster him, but with sheer willpower, he's able to focus for a solid 30 minutes without thinking about her. But when he stretches, he still sees the girl undecided on a drink to buy. She looks at the many options, unable to decide, with this being a constant struggle in her life. In a flashback, she has a traumatic memory. Yae, devoid of life in her eyes, is being told by a woman that her life has already been decided for her, so there's no point in thinking. The woman has already arranged her friends, marriage, and future. Uryuu doesn't find the choice difficult, picking a random drink and handing it over to her as she's overthinking. He tells her that she might be a grown-up, but she really acts too much like a kid, adding that if she gets lost and doesn't know what to do, he'll help her. Yae smiles and playfully tosses the drink down his kimono. She tells him to respect his elders and says he sounds like the kind of boyfriend she'd dislike, declaring that she'll make her own decisions from now on. Yuna refuses to sleep in the same room as Uryuu, as she doesn't know what he'd do, but Asahi points out that Uryuu acts like a wuss, so there's nothing to worry about. Uryuu then offers to sleep in a drawer instead. Asahi suggests they pull an all-nighter. Yuna reminds everyone of their meeting with the teacher tomorrow to decide their future. Uryuu agrees, but asks what the girls plan to tell her, as she's expecting an answer about their future. The girls look down, not knowing what future to pick. Uryuu feels embarrassed, saying that they are still technically a family, for now at least. After some awkward silence, they all argue, but eventually agree to have a pillow fight as a distraction. The next morning, the aftermath of the pillow fight is evident, with all of them sleeping soundly in their positions. Uryuu wakes up to find Yae and Yuna sprawled across him. He slips out carefully, trying not to disturb them, and finds Asahi huddled around her phone. Upon greeting her, she fumbles the phone in surprise. Picking up the phone, he reads an email from Todo High, a prestigious school for top relay runners in Japan. The email asks for a decision soon. Uryuu knows of the school as it's famous for recruiting track stars. He remembers that during last year's competition, a scout approached Asahi and offered her a sports scholarship. Asahi admits she has already decided her future. She plans on living in Tokyo alone, starting next year. But she asks Uryuu to keep it a secret, just like her grandfather has been doing. Uryuu doesn't like this and assumes it's because she's afraid her family won't support her decision. Asahi clarifies that it's the opposite. Her family would support and love her, but they would be too worried about her. Uryuu insists she should tell the head priest and her sisters. Asahi tries to stop him, and the situation takes an over-the-top fan service turn, with Asahi snapping a picture of Uryuu and threatening to blackmail him if he tells her sisters about her plans. Uryuu still refuses, believing he's doing the right thing. Just then, the sisters walk in. Asahi makes a quick escape, leaving Uryuu to explain the situation. Yuna immediately assumes Uryuu has done something to hurt her sister, and even Yae wants to know what's going on. Uryuu does a terrible job explaining, fumbling through his words. Eventually, he breaks the news that Asahi plans to live alone in Tokyo for high school. The two sisters let out a sigh of relief, as they already knew this. Walking outside, Uryuu is confused about why they haven't talked to their sister about this yet. The girls call him nosy, but then explain that Asahi has always been a maverick. She has a hard time expressing herself and prefers doing things on her own. The sisters are willing to stay in the background and will support her no matter what path she picks. But they both admit they will miss her dearly when she leaves. Meanwhile, Asahi is out for a run, deep in thought. She believes that she's always been running away from her problems, trying to hurry up and be an adult. As she runs, the other sisters catch up to her. Asahi is mad, knowing that Uryuu has told her sisters. He admits he did, but he'll let them talk it out on their own, stepping aside. The girls finally tell her what she already knows, that no matter what decision she makes, they'll be proud of her and support her. The story unfolds further, with Uryuu having another vivid vision of the future, a surreal moment where multiple feminine voices echo around him. Each one calls out, addressing him as an adult, as someone they feel deep affection for. And then, finally, Asahi's voice echoes sharply, urging him to get up. Uryuu wakes up from this dreamlike vision to a jarring reality. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself in the present, but everything feels different. The three sisters, now much older, stand before him. Yae's hair has been cut shorter, and her mature, controlled demeanor marks her as the responsible eldest sister in her 30s. Yuna, no longer the playful, carefree girl she once was, wears her hair down in a more casual but graceful style, and Asahi now looks like a graduate, having stepped into her full adulthood at the age of 22. The years have passed, and Uryuu now sees the three of them in a completely new light. Asahi, now a confident adult, stands before Uryuu, reminding him that today is the promised day, a day to commemorate his transition to becoming both a certified doctor and priest. It's a day tied to a promise he made to marry. The weight of the years and the decisions made becomes real. Uryuu feels a sense of awe and fear, realizing how much has changed over time, but the moment is interrupted as the scene shifts back to the present. Uryuu wakes up from this vision to find himself still on the couch in the lobby of the shrine. Meanwhile, at a cafe in town, Yomiko and Mahiru sit down for tea. Mahiru expresses her gratitude to Yomiko for helping find a home for Uryuu, to which Yomiko brushes off the comment, stating that it was simply the right thing to do. She mentions that the Amagami Shrine has long been looking for someone to marry into the family, and Uryuu's arrival just happened to be a fortuitous situation. Yomiko and Mahiru's conversation turns to the topic of family and fate, with Mahiru remarking how lucky Uryuu is to have such wonderful girls. However, she also expresses her concern, calling the girls too good for him. Yomiko, with her characteristic sense of practicality, dismisses Mahiru's concerns. Their conversation then shifts to the past, and we flash back 6 years ago at the Amagami Shrine. Yomiko, then a respected senior shrine maiden, had come to pay her respects to an old friend, the mother of the Amagami sisters. The shrine's grandfather thanks Yomiko for coming, but she takes it in stride, thinking little of it. She respects the woman who had been like a mother figure to her and feels that even now, she continues to watch over them. The two sit down together to discuss the shrine's future. The grandfather, though still sprightly, acknowledges that he won't be around forever and that one day, the family shrine may be in danger of disappearing. This conversation is somber. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupts the quiet discussion. The three sisters burst into the room, shouting in unison that they want to become shrine maidens and learn from Yomiko. They demand that Yomiko take them as students even as they clumsily try to make their case. Despite her initial disapproval, she agrees to teach them, starting with a dance ritual at the Tsukigami Shrine, where she trains them with a strict hand. It's a grueling but essential part of their training, as Yomiko strives to instill in them the discipline and grace needed to uphold the shrine's legacy. Each day, the girls dedicate themselves to the rituals, trying their best to honor the legacy of their mother. Yomiko watches them closely, seeing how deeply they care about their heritage and their desire to make their mother proud. Yet, despite the intensity of their commitment, Yomiko begins to question whether they are too young for such a heavy responsibility. One afternoon, after a particularly grueling lesson, Yomiko overhears the girls talking amongst themselves. They talk about how much they want to improve and how much they long to be worthy of their mother's legacy. This sparks something within Yomiko. She had been unsure whether she should continue teaching them, but hearing their devotion strengthens her resolve. She decides to continue training them. Months go by and the girls grow. They transform from eager but clumsy students into skilled, disciplined shrine maidens. Yomiko, too, changes in response to their progress. She watches them mature, feeling a deep connection to them, almost as though they are her own daughters. At times, she finds herself jealous of Yae's growing figure. The day of their graduation comes in the spring, and the sisters can't help but cry as they thank Yomiko for everything. She had become their second mother. As the years pass, the question of who will inherit the Amagami Shrine looms over the family. The head priest, Chidori Amagami, asks Yomiko who among the girls has the potential to take on the mantle of the shrine's heir. But Yomiko finds herself torn. All three of them have great potential, each in their own unique way. And she doesn't want to force them into a decision that might limit their future happiness. Yomiko's role, though significant in their lives, is not that of a parent, and she feels that it's not her place to decide their futures for them. Meanwhile, Uryuu and Mahiru continue to observe the situation. Both of them can see the problem. The girls want to be closer to Yomiko, but they keep making excuses, assuming that she is too busy to spend time with them. Both sides want to connect, but neither is making an effort to bridge the gap. Both Mahiru and Uryuu offer the same advice to the girls. If they want to grow closer to Yomiko, they need to make an effort to reach out, instead of waiting for the other side to act first. Later that night, the two sides finally collide, meeting under the moon on a bridge. Yomiko is ready to hear what the sisters have decided for their futures, expecting them to have given serious thought to the matter. But what unfolds is unexpected. The three sisters, with all their individuality and differences, express their desire to succeed the shrine together. Each one of them believes she has the qualities necessary to lead the shrine in her own unique way. Asahi, the pragmatic and forward-thinking sister, believes that she is the best choice as the chief marketer, someone who can bring fresh ideas and attract new worshippers to the shrine. Yae, the eldest, argues that as the firstborn, it's her responsibility to take on the role, and she believes her skills in making charms and designing new rituals will help the shrine flourish. Yuna, ever devout and passionate, insists that her deep reverence for the shrine and her unwavering devotion, their bickering escalates, but through it, Yomiko sees something deeper. They all care for the shrine in their own way. They each want to contribute and take on the responsibility, not out of a sense of duty, but because they love the shrine and want to see it thrive. Yomiko, for the first time, realizes that they aren't simply fulfilling their mother's legacy. They are carving their own paths and trying to find the best way forward. They all ask for her help, not as a teacher or mentor, but as a member of the family, someone they can lean on as they navigate the complex emotions tied to their futures. Yomiko, moved by their sincerity, agrees to help them as a family, no matter who ultimately takes on the role of the heir, and Uryuu can't help but feel conflicted. The trio of sisters, despite their love for the shrine and for each other, clearly lacks the unity and maturity to inherit the shrine just yet. Yomiko, ever perceptive, sees this too, and her response is sharp but practical. She acknowledges their dedication and love for the shrine, but points out that they have no concrete plan for its future. They are relying too much on feelings and ideals without the proper structure to sustain them. The decision of who will inherit the shrine, she concludes, is too early to make. And so, she decides to retrain them with periodic visits to monitor their progress, ensuring they are better prepared for the weight of their eventual responsibilities. They don't just want to be trained to be shrine maidens. They simply want to be. With a teasing smile, she asks them if that means they're okay with marrying Uryuu, a question that catches the girls off guard. He reveals to them a picture of two boys from the orphanage, expressing his belief that they will grow up to be responsible and dependable when they reach adulthood. He offers them as potential suitors, promising to treat them like family, though admitting he doesn't know when he'll be able to support them fully. In particular, smiles and admits that she likes Uryuu best. Her words reflect the sentiments of all three sisters who, despite their teasing, admit they feel the same. In a burst of inspiration, Asahi, ever the strategist, the proposal seems outlandish, but in the light of the full moon, something magical stirs in the air. The girls tumble into Uryuu, laughing and nervously wondering if Asahi's joking proposal could actually become a reality. The full moon bathes the bridge in an ethereal light, casting a surreal glow over the scene. It's as if the moon itself is granting their wishes. And Yomiko watches from a distance, a fond smile on her face. She sees the future before her, a future where Uryuu's dreams and the girls' hopes intertwine. And though it may not be clear what will happen next, she prays that Uryuu will take good care of her daughters. The family he's found with them.
This is where we're going to have to leave off for today. If you like this video, here's another one just like it that you should check out. I will be breaking this anime down into multiple parts. Now, if you liked this video, make sure to like the video. Why not subscribe? I'll be uploading daily videos like this one. I'll see you next time.